Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good whatever, wherever you are in the world today. Welcome to episode 3 of Life in the Baggage Claim. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jim Hauck. I'm a cruise planner in Dallas, Texas. And with me is my esteemed, illustrious, and amazingly supportive co-host, Chuck Longerbeam, who is of the Virginians. And he is here with me, and we're going to talk to you today about what's our topic, Chuck?
Travel advisors.
Awesome. So, Chuck, let's talk about what is going on in the world today where travel advisor would be of most use.
Oh, wow. Well, right now I'm seeing a lot of folks who are doing Europe. We talked last week about Europe. A lot of folks are doing European, but tours, package things, not just, I'm going to Rome for a couple of days. It's, I'm going to Rome and I'm going to do a bus tour to Florence, and then I'm going to go to the Greek Isles, and I'm going to do this. There's a lot of those. And then I'm noticing just all of a sudden out of nowhere, a lot of interest in repositioning cruises. And for those of you who don't know, we talked about it, I think, in the first episode, but repositioning cruises are when cruise ships move from one area of the world to another to basically follow favorable weather. And they tend to be longer. I just booked one Saturday, and it was 16 days. And if anybody can imagine how glorious it would be to be on a cruise for 16 days, and it was a cruise for 16 days. But you may ask, if you've never cruised before, or if you've never done a repositioning cruise, what would be the point? The point is luxury and 16 days of doing nothing but what you want to do. So those are the two big things I'm seeing: package tours in Europe and the Med, and then repositioning cruises.
It's interesting. I think the repositioning cruises are becoming popular because people realize they're there, and they're often a good deal for a longer time on a ship. And I believe often on these ships, when you're in a repositioning, they're not going to do their standard level of like parties and themes and events, because historically repositioning cruises were almost like little journeys. They weren't the cruise. They weren't all the fun. They were about education, or they would use them to teach things. So for instance, last year around this time, I took a repositioning cruise from San Francisco to Galveston, which went to the Panama Canal. I think finding those is hard. Getting your travel agent or travel advisor engaged is big there. The other big thing with you that I'm seeing, I agree on packages. I'm also seeing that people are looking further out.
Yeah. We've
seen a little bit of a slowdown in travel as the world has just gone a little bit sideways. And if you're not feeling that, I don't know where you're at. But as the world went sideways over the past few weeks, I had customers just sort of like, I think I'm going to wait a little bit. I'm not sure I want to go, especially folks heading over into Europe. It's just nerves, right? Mm-hmm. But I do see ticks up in 26, 27 fiscal years that look like people are thinking long term, which means there's hope on the horizon. I think that's what I'm hoping it means. Right? People see that there's an end to this sort of chaos we're in right now that will bring them that peace to go join in travel. So, yeah, I agree with you, Chuck. That seems to be what I see too going on. It's not much different. I would imagine we'd see similar experiences. Mm-hmm. And so today's episode, talking about your travel advisor, as both of us are travel advisors, there's things that I think we want to share that are tricks and tips to help us work better for you. We are a bit of a Burger King menu. You can have it your way, but you also have to, I think learning to work with your travel advisor will guarantee you the best success. And I'm going to take, for example, I've had a couple clients I've worked with where it's probably mostly me not asking enough clarifying questions sometimes, but we try to find out from you where you want to go, what you want to do, and when you want to do it. And so when you're ready to talk to your travel advisor, kind of know what you're thinking of doing. You don't have to have it solved. You don't have to say, I want to go on a cruise on September 7th from Miami to, blah. That's not it. But you can say, I'd like to go to Europe. These are the countries that kind of excite me. I'm a hardcore traveler, or I'm a luxury traveler. I'm a lazy traveler. Or I want to be catered to, or I don't want to be bothered, right? You kind of give us that. And I'd like to go, in the fall of 2025. Okay. I've got a much better idea. Then I can ask some questions, right? And you're always going to see your travel advisor, if they're good, ask you questions. Right. It's going to be things like, do you want to stay in bougie high-end hotels or boutique hotels, or do you want to stay in hostels? What are you looking for that way? Are you going to travel by train, by car, by bus? What do you want to do? And then we're going to kind of look at, do you want a built-in package that has more? Do you want to do this as a one-off bespoke travel plan? And so that's when we're trying to get from you when we ask questions like that. It's really about learning what you want. And we may even come back with stuff then that you didn't even know you wanted, right? That's sort of the magic we get to put into this. So that's one one tip I would offer anybody who's working with a travel advisor is give them the information, as much of it as you can. Doesn't mean you have to go research to tell them. Our job is to help you research. But if you come to me and say you want to go to, well, this kind of a fake scenario. I want you to match a quote from another travel agent. Well, if you don't give me the details about what that travel agent's doing, I can't match that quote. I guarantee if I see their quote, I can beat it, but I can't match something I don't know, right? If you don't give me enough information.
Well, that's what I was going to, it's interesting you started with that. I was going to talk about specifics. And again, I've had folks, I had someone call me recently and say, I want to go on this cruise ship. This is the itinerary. This is the one I want. What can you do for me? And I saved them a ton of money. And that's great. If you know that, great. We as travel advisors, it's not that we want our jobs to be easy. It just makes it so much more seamless, and it can be done, and we can make it happen for you. And then, to me, even before I was a travel advisor, the most stressful part of any trip to me was knowing whether I was going to get it or not. Right. This is what I want to do. And it's like, oh, is it sold out? Can I get the cabin I want? So if the more specific you can be within reason, the quicker we can get you what you want and take that anxiety away from you because it's booked and you're rolling. But you're right, Jim. I mean, I worked with a couple and they said, we want to go to Europe for a honeymoon. Okay. When, where, how, like you said. And again, it's our job as travel advisors to pare that down, because you're right. A lot of folks don't know what they do want because they don't know necessarily what's available. And that's our job. And I asked them 1,000,001 questions, and I know they got tired of it after a while, but I had 2 pages of notes. And then when I came home and I got on my computer, I went where I needed to go. And when I presented them the itinerary, they were ecstatic and we were rolling. But yeah, we started with Europe sometime next year. But we started with. So if you can be a little bit more specific with that, if you can't, that's fine. We'll get you there.
Yeah, I think it's all about the more you give us, the more we can closely align to what you're looking for. Mm-hmm. The less you give us, the more back and forth we're going to have. Maybe your style is to hear that, right? You want to go back and forth. But don't do that if you're looking to travel in August this year. That kind of makes it hard. Honestly, I think the thing I see is people don't realize cruises, for instance, you couldn't cruise Alaska at some point this year. I mean, we're already getting to the point where it's almost all sold out. Mm-hmm. And while there will be sometimes the luck of a cabin sitting available and you might be able to get it, you need to act fast. In fact, sometimes myself as a travel advisor, I will put a booking hold on something when I know it's the last one for my clients so that I know they can get it if they want it. And I've let many of those slide, and it's just that you lose. You can't come back to me in 2 months and say, that one you found me 2 months ago, I'd like it now. And it's like, yeah, that's gone. So, and when a ship says it's sold out, you can still find a room. You're just not going to find premium rooms, right? I personally, I like the research. It's fun for me. I get to learn about things I don't know, but I am never going to be the expert in every country, every tour, every mode of transportation. So sometimes I have to rely on my partners who offer us services. And one thing I don't like to do is run them through an obstacle course to get to an answer. Right. So before I engage a company like Colette or a company like Kensington or a company like Hauck Tours, I want to know what I'm trying to get, right? And I need to know that from my clients. So right. I need to know that you want to be highly catered to. You want to be adventurous. You want to be solo, right? I mean, we can find a process to deliver anything you want, but then remember, money can buy you anything. Enough money and time, you can do anything you want in this world.
Right. Well, and you brought up an interesting point, and I call it browsing. And if I had a client who wanted to go on a cruise, and I, and I got a 48-hour hold for their room, and they let it expire, and then they came back a week later, and I did another 48-hour hold. After a while, it's like you're not serious, and I don't mean that when you come to a travel advisor, you have to come with cash in your hand. I don't mean it that way. What I mean is, if I have a very close friend who said, I don't know if I can afford this, but can you run a cruise for me in March for me and my kids to 4-day to, I think it was down to the Bahamas. I'm like, yeah. So I ran it, and she called me back and she's like, I can't afford that. And that ended it right there. And I'm like, okay. And I don't mean honestly, it was the cheapest thing I could find. So I'm not saying that she couldn't afford it. So I stopped the process. She stopped the process. But my point is, if you come to us with honest inquiries, come to us with honest inquiries. Like if Jim came to me and said, I don't have a big budget. Can you tell me if I can afford a cruise? And I run something and he goes, I can't afford this. And that ends the conversation. Fine. That's an honest inquiry. I have no problem with that. Call me again when you get some money saved or whatever, and I'll make it work for you. But it's the constant kicking the can down the road. And I would say the biggest thing, and this is with any business or any industry or any person you interact with, if you're ready, be ready. If you're not ready, don't do it. I mean, now it doesn't mean if, let's say I want to do such and such and it's going to cost me $10,000 a person, like, I can't do that. Can you find something that's more like $6,000 a person? That's an honest inquiry. I'm okay with that. We can work that because you don't know what it costs till you know what it costs. Yeah. But you also know if if you've got a beer budget, you're not going to go on a champagne one. I mean, you're not going to go on a Viking cruise if you can only afford $500 per person. We won't even run it. There's no.
And I know for me, one of the things I like to give my customers is some options, right? So when you come to me and say, hey, I want to see Alaska. I want to go to Alaska. I'm down to do a cruise. I will look at a few options. I might give you a sort of more premium product, a middle of the road product, and then the cheapest in product, right? Usually let my customer know what each means and why they need to think about them. And then I always will say, you get what you buy, right? So that we don't choose the cruise for you unless you say to us, choose the one that's best. We'll do it. The other thing is, I think the biggest, we don't mind you kicking tires, but even if you go to a car store or you go to a car lot, if you're there every week looking at cars, the salesman knows you're there every week. They just stop looking at you at some point, right? Because they know you're not interested. I'm the kind of person, like, I will give a lot of time and effort to a customer, but I don't want to spend 6 hours every other day researching something because you're not sure. And the other part is really come in with, these are the important things, right? So if you got a list of cities you want to hit or a list of museums you want to see or sites you want to go to, be really clear about what the priorities are in those, right? Because you might think, oh, I can go do Athens and I can do Mykonos and I can do Rome and I can do, Germany and I can do Bavaria and I can do France, I can do London. I'm going to do that in a week. And I'm going to look at you and go, no, you won't enjoy any of them. Sure, I can fly you into every one of those and get you there.
Right.
But, prioritize.
You're going to have 20 minutes on the ground.
And I'll kiss the ground and go, right?
Right.
I think it's important to prioritize what you're looking for because it's going to be your vacation. It's not mine. And you need to think about what you want to do and what's driving you, right? So I had a client who specifically wanted to see a very special location. I went out and I took the 4 or 5 places I was given, created a tour, worked with a couple companies, and the one place was not easily accessible. There was no tour company went there. There was no rail line there. There was no bus line there. There was a 2-star hotel and that was it there. And I'm just like, well, but that was the site that customer wanted to go to. So I sort of had to say, look, I can't get you there. It's because I can get you this close, and then you're going to have to actually go figure out the rest. I'm not going to be able to get you a car or, and I did come back with a solution. It was sort of like the very expensive, live your Housewives of Beverly Hills fantasy, they pick you up and you've got a private driver and car the whole time, right? And those things are out there. They're not as expensive as you think, but they're not cheap either, right? So we can find solutions for just about everything as long as we know what we're working with.
Exactly. Well, and it's interesting you said that because the other thing I wanted to talk about was options. So let's just say, for example, the customer you're talking about, I really want to go to this place, and it's like, I can't figure out what would be the next best thing. And if you can come to your travel advisor and say, I really want to go, I want to go to outer Slobovia in June of 26, and I want to do this or I want to do that and the other thing. But if I can't do that, I'd rather go to, inner Slobovia. I mean, I'm just saying, I know I'm being ridiculous, but give us options if you can, because the reason is what you don't know is when we're working these things out, if something amazing pops up in this place that's close to where you were talking about, if you were adamant you only wanted to go to one place, we might not offer it to you because we think they were very clear they only wanted to go such and such. But if we do give us options and we present that to you, you go, well, that would be fantastic. If I can't do the other thing, that's great. So I don't want to tell people to be flexible. Do what you want to do. I mean, go where you want to go. But if you can give us other options that might get you more or less where you want to be, but maybe it's cheaper, quicker, faster, better, you don't know. But we can't present to you, for example, the couple that said they wanted to go to Europe. I can't present everything to them. Even once they got specific, I can't present everything. There might be 15 different packages. I have to take what you've told me and tailor it and think, I don't want to make a decision for you, but I'm like, okay, they seem pretty adamant about this part of it, so I'm only going to do the things that are this part. But if you said, we're not that adamant, we want to do that, but we would be fine with such and such, that gives us a whole other view of parameters that we could actually possibly find you something you didn't even in your wildest dreams imagine.
Yeah, I think it comes down to be honest with us and don't be afraid to prioritize what you want. If you don't ask, we can't tell you. We can't figure it out. We're going to go for, I often start with, okay, so I want to know what their priority is. I want to know what they're trying to get. I want to know when they're trying to get it. What's driving the trip at that time of year, right? So
exactly.
Sometimes you'll see people say, well, I want to go to Spain in August. And I'll say, well, it's going to be pretty quiet because everybody in Spain has gone down to somewhere else. That's sort of what happens. But it doesn't mean you can't go to Spain in August and enjoy it. So I want to set the expectations with you as a customer and make sure you understand what you're going into. And I think even and we're going to have an episode coming up about how to travel in turbulent times on right here on Life in the Baggage Claim. Remember to like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. We're going to talk about that. But, we're going to advise you what we might know is going on in an area, right? So, if you called me today and said, I think I want to go go to a tour in the Middle East, I'd be like, well, might just want to hold a few weeks. Probably not the highlight of places I would send you to. Right. Same thing with, when the fires were raging last summer, and if someone wants to go to a California adventure tour, well, that's great. The adventure might be running from fires.
It might not be the adventure you were hoping for.
Yeah. I mean, helping us that way. And, we have great options on our website, and I'm going to try to do this. We're going to see what happens. This is us being creative on here. I'm going to bring up our website, my website. Chuck's looks amazingly the same. That's one thing Cruise Planner does for us. And if you look along the top here, there's a couple things you can do. You can request a consultation with us. That's this area right here, if you can see it. And that's a great way to kind of get some basic information in our systems so that when we speak to you, we already know what you want to do. The other is under this extras, there's a thing called Where to Next. And you'll see this come, and if you sign up with us for emails and stuff, Where to Next comes up regularly. And what Where to Next does is it gathers a bunch of information from you. You can see that here. And you could tell it where you want to go, when you want to go. And it populates the data more so that when we have our initial conversation with you as a customer, we kind of know this is what you're looking for. Those are great tools. I tell you, explore our websites. You can find out why you want to use us. You can find out what we're good for. You can look at all of our different tours. And this is a big plug on our business. This is a great way to learn about what we can offer you and to learn that Cruise Planner isn't just about cruises, right? But I do say, look at what's here. And then we even have areas once you're on that you can see what you're booked, you can go work with. We have a great mobile app to keep you, engaged in your travel. So you end up with 2 mobile apps, one for your cruise line, for instance, and one with us. But these things are stuff that we put out there for a reason. It's just like really busy websites. It's because we want you to go leverage that to help you get somewhere. And so I'd say, if you're
and like Jim was saying about the websites, if you want to scan the QR codes at the bottom of your screen right now, it takes you directly to our surveys.
And you're going to notice a little edit there. Jim does not always know how to use his technology, and he blew us offline at the end of his sharing. So, yeah, that's how it is sometimes. We think we know something and we don't. But hopefully that guided you a little bit to a way to start engaging with us before you actually engage with us.
Exactly.
But, call us. That's what we're here for. And we will help you out. And I would say, Chuck, we are miracle workers when we get the opportunity. We can make things happen.
Right. Oh, and if I may, talking about specifics and options and things like that, and you were talking about that, I know sometimes people get, and I've had this happen with a couple of clients, people get things in their head, and I'll ask them, top 3 things you want from this vacation. Oh, I want to go here. I want to try this. I want to do that. Perfect. That's what I'm going to try to work with you. But then sometimes what will happen is I'll see something, or Jim will see something, a package that's just, I'm hearing everything you want. And let's say there are 15 things you've told me you want. And the top 3 things, I can get you 2 of them and like 8 others. I'm going to present that to you. And what has happened a couple of times is customers go, oh my God, this itinerary is perfect. And they don't even hear themselves not, like they've jettisoned one of the top 3. because you don't realize till you know. And the bottom line is, if you've got a list of 15 things, I'm just gonna tell you right now, folks, you're not gonna get all 15 of them. If you do, I'm gonna clap for you.
Yeah, if you enough money, enough time, right? If you want to make the time to do 15 things, there is a way.
Well, thank you.
Don't come to us and say I want to do it in 3 days. That's impossible, right?
Right. In a normal person's vacation time, meaning not somebody who's, unbelievably wealthy, you've got a week, 10 days. You're not going to be able to go to, England for 5 days and France for 5 days. And you're not going to be able to do all of that because of, like Jim said earlier, about flight time and travel and all that. I mean, you could do it, but you're not going to get the time that you thought you were going to get. Anyway, my point is be flexible in what we can offer you, because sometimes what you think you really want and what we can get you are two different things, and you're actually going to be happier. We're going to present several things to you, but be flexible in your mind. Don't be stuck on those three things unless it's, honeymoon, vacation of a lifetime, something you've been thinking about for 30 years and you've got the money to do it. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a general vacation. I want to go to Ireland and I want to see these three things. And then your travel agent or advisor comes back to you and says, well, I found you 2 of those and 5 others that you really, really wanted. Be flexible in that. I think we'll get you what you want, but then you get into price and time and all that. And if you have that, great.
Well, I have a good example of sort of getting a customer something they didn't want, and that was this customer I have who's going to be on the Celebrity Beyond this coming summer. They wanted to take family on a cruise, have a nice kind of reunion experience, make some celebrations that are going on in their lives. And I happened to be in Fort Lauderdale when this request came in, and I was boarding the Celebrity Apex to take a ship. And as we went around, the ship was beautiful, and we walked into this penthouse suite, and it is something to behold. I mean, 2,700 odd square feet of space. It's got a living room, a dining room. It's got its own hot tub. It's got a big indoor and outdoor deck, a kitchen, 2 bedrooms. I mean, it's the posh life.
Floating Airbnb.
Yeah. And it comes with a butler for full service, and you get everything. I mean, you're in there, best amenities, best packages, all that. And I was taking pictures just because I was like, some people have to see this thing. It's just too much, right? And she said to me, I want that. I want to go on this cruise. I says, well, I think I have just the room for you. And I sent her pictures. And all I got back was, yes, make it happen. Well, I did come back and say, that's like a $50,000 room for the week. I says, I haven't talked to anybody yet. We got the price down to about 28. It was within her budget for doing it for people. So, sometimes I don't know if someone's going to go for it, but that's where I could say, I have something I think you'll like because I know her style. I know what she likes to travel like. That's why we want to build these relationships with our clients. So the more we know about you, the more about your likes and your dislikes, your tastes, your styles, is all building for us an image of what we think will meet your desires when you want to travel. So it happens. Sometimes we get it and we blow it out of the park. And sometimes we're going to just barely get you what you want. It just depends on what it is. But get to know us, spend time, make those calls work, or texts or emails work. Spend a little time getting to know us, and we will get to know you. And then hopefully that works into a long-term relationship with you, that we continue to meet your needs and get you more and more options, and more frequent travel to places you want to go and see things you want to see. I think that's the best thing.
And be patient. I would say, without getting too deep into this, more than just about any other interaction you have with someone selling you something, for lack of a better term, it's much more intimate than that. I think, with what we do. But just be patient, because we're not selling you a dishwasher. We're not selling you something like that. We're selling you a vacation, a memory, something that, and I know Jim and I are both very much the same. We're both passionate guys when it comes to A, travel, but B, working with people. And what I want more than anything else, forget about money, forget about anything else. What I want, and I ask all my clients, when you get off of your trip, please, if you're on a cruise or wherever you are, just send me a selfie of you guys having fun. And that's all I care about. If you call me back and say, oh my God, the cruise was amazing and we did this, I love that. I'll sit and listen to you gush for 10 minutes about how much fun you had. That's the important part. And the only way, mainly, that Jim and I can get you there is to understand everything that motivates you, everything you want to see, your budget, how much time you have. We need to know all of that so that we can literally get you on your dream vacation.
And budget's a key thing. People, if you don't tell us what you think you can afford, And the real question is really think about this, right? Really be honest with yourself. Can I afford a $10,000 vacation? Can I afford a $20,000 vacation? And I use those numbers because surprisingly, if you went and did this all yourself and got yourself onto a cruise and booked your meal, like we obviously know cruises are a great deal, right? You get all your stuff included for such a good price, and the price per night and customer is easy. But, if you think about you want to go to Europe on a land excursion tour and you tried to book every hotel, every meal, all your transportation, it adds up quickly. We are not looking, we're not making, a decision here to spend your money more than you are. It is in your hands to vote. But we're trying to give you the right experience. And I think one of the reasons I got into this beyond my own personal passion to travel was I want to help people build those memories, take those adventures and do those things that you hear people sit around and as they get older and talk about. I don't want you to be saying, I wish I had. I want you to be saying, I'm glad I did. Exactly. Right. And that's how I approach my travel. Right. So I will make it hard on myself sometimes to go take and do something that will cost me more, but I'm going to get a great memory that I can't replace. And that's sort of how you should look at your travel. These are your adventures in life, and take them. Let us help them put together for you. I mean, that's why we're selling travels. It's fun. I'm selling you happiness, not a new dishwasher or a car.
Well, and that's what I remember saying this in the first episode. For me, it's all about memories. I mean, money comes and goes, friends come and go, cars come and go, houses come and go. But when it all comes down to it, it's the memories you make, and nothing makes memories like travel. It just doesn't. So, Gemma, I think we're ready to wrap up. Is there anything else you have for us?
Are we done already? Boy, I guess my little screw up in technology that made me feel like we got to start fresh. I think, again, this is all about relationships. Chuck and I have got a fantastic relationship. We've met each other and we just connected. And I think that's the same thing we want to pass to our customers. Either of us is happy to serve you and help you out. Either of us can give you the same quality and goals. We are not competing with each other. We're helping to build the industry ourselves. But, leverage us, call us, talk to us. We want to make things good for you. It's not necessarily that I get a lot. Commissions are great, but they're not amazing, right? Like you get some good commissions, you get some just okay. Reality is knowing that I got to make something happen in your life that you're excited about, that you come away from talking to people about is more than I could ever ask for. And it's just the kind of person I am. That's what I want to see. I want to see people having fun. I do a lot of things in my life to make sure people have a good time. So I think that's what we're looking for. And get to know us. Our relationships with you are very important. I treat my customers like family once I have them. And I watch over them when they're traveling and make sure everything's going well. And I don't call and bother them, but I check what's happening to make sure that I don't find out they're on the latest poop cruise or something like that. But yeah, we just, it's sort of relationships are key to all of this. That's where I would leave it. I think the biggest thing is relationship, right?
I agree. And yeah. And well, I probably shouldn't put this in a podcast. I'm not going to edit this out. So if you don't like what I'm getting ready to say, yeah, I mean, and Jim and I are talking about potentially creating a group cruise for next year, where I'll be on the cruise. It'll be the first ever Life in the Baggage Claim cruise, and
hopefully the cruise doesn't spend all of its time in the baggage claim. That would be the real scary part, right? I'm doing this in the baggage claim. We never leave.
I'll be in the baggage claim. Jim will be having a drink on deck. I know how this is going to work.
But yeah, I mean, ultimately that would be very fun. We'd love to take at some point and bring our followers and subscribers along with us on a great group cruise and, come travel the way we want to travel. And I guarantee you, if you travel with Chuck or me, it's going to be different, but it's going to be similar. You're going to feel the same way. But we'd love to do that. I think that's sort of we have lots of goals with doing this podcast. And for those of you who've already subscribed, thank you. Bless you. We appreciate you. The early ones in are always your treasures, right? Because they're taking a chance. And it's hard to believe we're on our third episode. This is kind of moving quickly. And our goal is we're going to drop one a week. It's Wednesday of the week we're in, and we by Monday have this posted. It's become real fun to sort of build all the creative and get our socials out there and listed and then see it pop up in people's feeds, watch it get attractions, help spread the word for us and like, subscribe and all those things. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts. Our goal is to keep this interesting. And, if you like something or don't like something, send us a word. I know, leave us a word because, we're always open to other subjects. If there's something you'd like us to cover. We're working on our content plans sort of I would say about 10 to 12 episodes ahead at best. We'll get further and further out as things go. But we're also looking to bring guests into this. We're starting to explore what that means. So you might see some folks from our home office come in. You might see some folks from certain lines and suppliers come in. Obviously, we're going to look for sponsorships at some point to really make this thing fly. And we're not big enough for anybody to care yet, but we will be. I mean, that's our goal. We are going to be your best and most favorite podcast on things travel with two of the nicest, greatest guys you could ever meet and laugh at while they banter and do dumb things.
Just trying to think about who you were talking about there for a minute.
I know, Chuck. I don't know where he is, but he's usually here.
All right.
What about you? Closing words, Chuck? It's all you.
What's that?
Closing words. It's all you.
So I think what we learned today, folks, is travel advisors want to help you make the best experiences and the best memories possible. But in that, just make sure that you're doing honest inquiries and not kicking tires without literally thinking about buying a car at some point in the near future. Be flexible and answer all the questions. Don't be frustrated. You've got to, and the only way a travel advisor can really give you the dream vacation you want is to know exactly what the dream vacation you want looks like.
Absolutely.
And Jim and I are here for you. Like he said, there's never any competition. Further back, there were QR codes. Maybe I'll drop them here as well of how to get to us. We'd love to help you out. We love our customers. We treat you guys like family. And we would love to have some of our subscribers start calling us up. That would be fantastic. And please share this with your friends. Call them up and say, hey, I found these two knuckleheads on this podcast that make me giggle. Like and subscribe. We would really, really appreciate that. We're just trying to grow, and we're trying to make it so that, our whole goal is to help people. So that's all I've got, Jim.
Sounds good. Well, the last weekend in June, we officially fly fully into summer next month. Our patriotism will come up next week, in a couple weeks with 4th of July. Next week, we will cover a sign of the times and how to travel in a world that's going crazy. We're going to talk a little bit about what you should think about, how you do it. You should still go out and travel, but what do you do when you're worried that where you're going could be scary? So that's something we're going to try to cover next week. And we hope you tune in again for us. Have a great last weekend in June. Happy Pride to my friends who are having Pride. Thank you, Chuck, for a great
It's a pleasure, Jim. Thank you, folks.
Bye.